Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We had quite a list of people joining us today, so I'm not sure if we might get some people popping in throughout. You have to bear with me. I've just moved from the Kimberley region in WA after 23 years down to the south coast. And the climate change is quite significant. This is my first winter since 2001, so it's been an interesting challenge for sure. So yeah, my name's Natika Ortique, and I'll be talking you through what we're doing today. If the coughing fits get the best of me, Deborah's going to step in. So you have to excuse me and bear with me. I apologise profusely for this, but my daughter was sitting in the car with me for a week driving down, and she came up with germs, so she's shared. Yeah, so firstly, I would like to acknowledge Jen, Deborah and Paul, who are in the room with us today. Deborah and Jen are both board members of ASCCA, and Paul is our CEO. So thank you all for joining us. And if you would like to, I mean, we've already done the intro, so that bit's done. Thank you very much. I see Ralph's trying to sign in again. I've sent him the link, but might send it to him on his mobile number. Sorry, folks. Hi, Paul. Paul's just texted us, so that's good. Bear with me while I just text Ralph to see if I can get him in. Or Jen, do you have Ralph's phone number?
I think I have.
No, okay, I'll just text it to him. Oh, it's a bit hard now. Sorry, folks, I was all ready to.
Patricia Martin is waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just try Ralph again now. And then I'll just get the share invite. Copy meeting link. Right. Okay. So that is done. Good morning. So Patricia's joined us as well. Thank you very much. I would first like to take a moment to acknowledge the Woggle people whose country I'm working from today. So that's a new traditional owner group, and yeah, it's beautiful blue skies here. So hopefully you're all having a mildish winter wherever you are. As I mentioned earlier, this is my first one in 23 years, or 24 years. So it's interesting. Today we're going to be speaking about MyGov and MyID and the differences between those two. We were hoping to have someone from Services WA join us and give us a bit of information on all of this, but you're stuck with me, unfortunately. And to kick off, I would like to do a bit of I'd really love for everyone to put their cameras on if you can, because it is quite interactive, the forum. So I would like to have a bit of a show of hands of who's using MyGov themselves. Even if you use your reactions, yeah, I'm using MyGov. And I can't see anyone else's reactions. So can I take it that, oh, yeah, Paul's using MyGov. What about you, Judith? Are you using MyGov yourself?
Not with any sort of confidence. I think sometimes I accidentally have to get onto it, but yeah, not really sure of all the...
Yeah. Hell out of here, doesn't it?
It is very, very times. So Rick says he uses it, and that's great. What about you, Patricia? I can see you've unmuted. No. And Bernard? Can't see any reactions from anyone. So
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
So you use it, Bernard?
Yes, I do. I've been using it for a while. I use it with the MyID, digital ID.
Yes, Great, fantastic. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between MyGov and MyID, because it used to be MyGov ID, and so that I think there was a great deal of confusion with that in the past. So it's good that they've.
Excuse me, I can't have my video on. I'm just watching my granddaughter because she's not well, so I'm just sort of listening in.
Yeah, no problems. Feel free to use your reactions if you'd like to raise your hand, etc. So yeah. And Patricia, we can't see you. I can see that you've tried to turn your camera on and your mic is on. And Rick, we can see you now. Lovely. Welcome. Thanks, Rick. Oh, you're muted though, so we can't hear you. So now, on saying that, the next question is, who is using MyID? Yeah.
I've got it installed, but I haven't had a reason to use it yet.
Okay. So you've obviously joined the MyGov with the MyID without needing the MyID to verify.
Yeah, well, I set up MyGov first and then added MyID later.
Yeah.
But I just haven't worked out when I need it, because I don't do a lot of interaction with government services.
Hi, Ralph. You're in. Well done.
On got the option of doing it through my Gov ID or my original log, which is my email address and password. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I think
fine. Yes.
yeah. So I think the MyID is the preferred way to sign in because it's a more secure way. So what they're trying to do is remove the usernames and passwords, which is where people were getting compromised, and just use your MyID, which is kind of like taking your 100 points of identification into whichever association you're going, so without having to show your driver's license and your passport or your birth certificate and your passport and making up your 100 points of identification. So yeah. Good morning, Ralph. Welcome.
It's taken me all this time to get access going.
But you're
My
here.
apologies.
No, please don't apologise. We're just asking who uses MyGov and who uses MyID. Are you using either of those or both of those?
I believe so.
Yep, and you're
Can't
comfortable
answer
with
definitively.
right. Okay, so basically, let me just grab up my notes as to where we're at. So today we're just having a quick look at some of the resources available. Who in their clubs supports other people to access MyGov and MyID? No.
We don't run a computer class at Computer Powers for Seniors The Hills because we're concerned about its sensitive information. We do say to our members that if you're struggling and you need help, we can match you up with a trainer and do some one-to-one with problem solving, but I don't think we've had a lot of demand for that.
Yeah, sure. Good morning, Patricia.
Hi, I don't know whether you can hear me.
We can.
Thanks. Yep. Sorry.
No, that's it. I think you've got an echo though. There seems to be two of you in. So what I might
I couldn't get the camera on the first one. So how do I? Hang on.
So I have muted one of them, so that should help.
Does that work?
No, that's made it worse. So I might see if I can. I can't remove that.
Oh, I can get myself off this one probably.
Yes, yeah, I can do that actually. Remove from me. There you go. I've taken that out. That should resolve that issue for you. So excellent. So we were just having a general chat about who's using MyGov already and who's using MyID. Are you using either of those or both of those?
I use MyGov, but not MyID. Yeah.
Okay, right. Excellent. So who is a little bit nervous about setting up the MyID? Are there any barriers as to why people are not using MyID?
I just log in with MyGov with a password, I think. So I don't know. Is there any advantage to using MyID?
Yes, it is a more secure way to access your MyGov, and I think the Services Australia are trying to remove the usernames and passwords because those can be quite easily compromised. So it's preferable to have this secure MyGov or MyID. So it's like we were just mentioning, it's like taking your 100 points of identification wherever you go. So yeah. So it is a little bit of a challenge though. I set up the MyGov ID, as it was called back then, back in the peak of COVID when all the services apps were being rolled out. So I'm in Western Australia, so ours was Services WA, but I believe there's Service New South Wales, Service Tasmania, Service Northern Territory, etc. So those are state government run applications that are going to be your access way to state government services, similar to the MyGov being the portal to your federal government services like Medicare and ATO, etc. So I do believe some of the states already have digital licenses. Digital licenses. So you can download a license for yourself rather than having a hard copy license. So we're not that far advanced over here in the West yet, but I can't wait for that to land. But the MyID app it started out as a verifying your identity, so not anyone can just set it up and pretend to be you. So you need to send in your 100 points of identification. And now with the smartphones, the biometric cameras, they actually verify the person setting it up is the person on the other end of the handset. So there potentially are some challenges for you helping people to set these up, because you send in your passport and your driver's license details, and the MyID app will check in the background to verify that information. I did have one person that we had all manner of problems with. We had his 100 points of ID, and this is going back to 2022, I think it was, when that came out, or 2021. And his Medicare and his driver's license, all of the details that we had were correct. And try as we might, we could not get them to verify. And so we ended up sitting on the phone. Of course, that was at the peak of when everyone was trying to get this service set up, and it took us hours on the phone. But what it turned out to be was that when he filled out his Medicare card application back in, was it 1984 that Medicare came out? It was all handwritten back then. And so his date of birth was transcribed into their databases as 1943 instead of 1948. So he was trucking along with Medicare and all of that for all of these years, 5 years older than he actually was, and no one picked it up. So Services WA, because it's all online and there's no room for error, was the issue. So those are some of the things that if you are going to be helping people one-on-one, that you need to keep in mind, is that I would try once or twice, and if it gets too hard, get on the phone to speak to them and get it resolved, because that is a huge challenge, and you don't know these things because you haven't had, if you filled it out handwritten at 40 odd years ago, then it's going to be quite difficult to tell if they've transcribed it incorrectly. It brings a whole other level of challenge if you're working with people who have migrated to Australia, or if you're dealing with First Nations people. I've worked with a group of people out at Cocos and Christmas Islands. Those islands were not owned by Australia until about the 80s. And so therefore birth certificates, etc., were kind of not really issued by the Australian government. So identifying people can be an extreme challenge with the 100 points of ID that this MyID needs. So there's a few bits in there that I would suggest you use and keep it in your toolkit so that if you're having challenges, you've got that. So are there any one-on-one sessions you do offer those though, Deborah, at your club to?
We offer them, but as I said, I don't think many people have taken them up, and they're not structured. It's just a matter of we would sit down with the person and find out what the problem is and try and help them solve it.
Yeah. And I think that's all you can do. It's a really hard one to run a group session for the MyID, particularly. For the MyGov, maybe not so much. But I set mine up a long time ago, so I can't remember if I needed to have the identification with MyGov. But on saying that, I'm going to share my screen with you because I'd like a quick show of hands again, if we could. Who has used the Be Connected resources before?
Nope.
Yep, Jen, Deborah, yep, not too many. So, were you aware that there are MyGov resources in here for training sessions? So you don't have to do much other than download the session plan from it, and you can run a session and have a general conversation in your club. Or if you've got people who are reasonably digitally literate and happy to go off and do some self-directed awareness raising, I'd call it, rather than training, then these are some great resources in here. So as you can see, I've just moved that. I don't know if that's in your way, but you can see I'm on the beconnected.esafety.gov.au website. I will put that in the chat if anyone needs that. Specifically in the topic library here. So if you can see the chat, the link is there if you needed it. But you can see we're in under the browse content. So if I just type in MyGov here, then what comes up is the topic MyGov, and there's a whole bunch of there's a bunch of courses underneath that. So these are the courses you can see. And if you've been signed in to this particular training portal, then you can see the line across here that shows you that I've done that course, most of that course. There's still a bit left there. So let's have a look at the All About MyGov though today, so we can just get a bit of a general gist of what's in here. So move that out of the way again. So again, you've got 5 different activities under the course All About MyGov, and the first one is a general introduction. The second one, excuse me, is specifically setting up MyGov. The third activity is about linking the services. The fourth is claiming Medicare, and the fifth is about My Health Record and MyGov. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. So you can see, sorry, there's a printable guide download that you can download and print off for your participants if you're running a session. And you can see that each of these activities are, excuse me, I'm just going to mute out for a minute.
She's very much struggling. Feel for her.
Oh, it's okay. I'm going to pop a butter menthol, I think. So, so you can see those activities are things like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So you could structure your hour-long session on this course and run through each of those, and that leaves you plenty of time to have general conversations, etc., with your people that are in your group. And then there's all about the MyGov quiz at the end is just checking that people have taken in what you've taught. You can see that there is now an article advertised in this course, how to create a pass key in MyGov. We mentioned earlier that they're trying to move away from usernames and passwords. So pass keys are device specific. So I'm just going to open that in another window. This is just an article, though. It's not an actual training session. Just make that a bit bigger for you. So who has created a pass key in their MyGov? Anyone? Yeah, Eric, no. No one else? Is there any particular reason why you haven't?
Old-fashioned. I just
Yeah.
I just stay with the passwords because I'm familiar with those, and yeah. Yep.
So perhaps, Rick, you could tell us why you have chosen to use a pass key. Maybe Rick can't.
He's
just typing.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's typing. So he uses them for most apps if he can. So that is the pass keys. Does everyone know about pass keys and what they are? Yeah, no, okay. So generally, there's a few that haven't nodded yes. So I'm assuming that
Not
means
really.
no. Yeah.
I think I've got one because I think I've got one because I recently went onto a Telstra site that looked as if it was right and it wasn't. So I was completely locked out, and by the time they talked me through it, they set up a pass key. Not 100% sure how to use it, but it's there, I think.
Yeah. So I'm all in an Apple environment, so it makes it really easy for me. So Deborah might be able to speak to pass keys in an Android environment. But basically a pass, sorry, my reactions went off then when I was using my hands. So basically a pass key, who remembers back when we first had Telstra accounts online? I'm talking probably late 90s, early 2000s, and you could only sign in on your particular computer. You had to have a USB drive that you had a piece of code on that would allow you to sign into your account on a different device. Does anyone remember those? I think, Rick, your hand went up. Yeah, so basically a pass key is a device-specific piece of code, and it sits on your phone or your computer or your tablet, and that verifies that it is you. So Judith, that's exactly what you're talking about, is that you've removed the username and password because they're quite easily guessable. If I showed you the Hive systems, how quick it takes to crack a password these days, you'd be absolutely mortified at how fast passwords can be cracked with AI and just a general password, an app that people use to try and crack people's passwords. And who does the wrong thing by having the same password for everything? So that, and if they crack one password, then they've got the keys to the whole kingdom, really, then. So that's why it's sort of important to have different passwords for different accounts, etc. So yeah, so basically a pass key is device specific, and it uses the biometrics on that device, so facial recognition or a thumbprint, so that verifies that it's you using that device at that particular time. A bit like with the MyID, when you put your identification documents in, it will check with the government service and say, yep, that's a valid form of identification. We can check that person. Yep, that's correct, and that one is correct. But then they scan your face with your smartphone camera, and they can just verify that you are the person that's setting that up at that particular time. So it's as secure as it can be in today's world. I would never say never, but we have to put our trust and our faith in the government's digital acumen to get this stuff securely sorted for us. So yeah.
That topic, take, and those who, no one probably lives as remote as I do now, take it does. I'm not on mobile coverage, so I can't. Sometimes I get my mobile phone through Wi-Fi calling, through satellite internet, so I can't always receive code, or if I do, it's 3 hours later and it's too late because it's timed out. So rather than get in the car and drive up the hill so that I can 3 kilometres away, so that I get mobile coverage to get a code to log in and go home and then log in, a lot of banks actually have provided tokens, and that takes the place of having these multi-factor codes sent to you. And 3 of my banks or institutions have now gone to other methods, and it works for me. But I still, the Commonwealth Bank, I still have a token for them, and one other too, I forget what it is. But it's amazing how financial institutions have found ways and means to still allow their customers to remain safe in you know, not in a city environment where they had the same communications as most people. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw a little bit of...
That's good. Gave my voice a rest. Thank you. So that is one of the courses under MyGov. So if we go back to the introduction to MyGov, you can see there are other ones in there. The setting up MyGov is a great way that you could come into there. And again, there's activities and the guide. This one,
we're not seeing your screen.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to share again. Sorry, I took that down. Thank you, Deborah. My brain isn't working very well today, so I apologise. So I'll just go back. So again, you can navigate this website like you can any other filing system. So I've gone back to the introduction to MyGov, and when I pop down here, there's a specific course on setting up MyGov. So you can pop into here and you can see it's number 2. There's recommended content on the other side as well. So you can go through the first activity, preparing to set up a MyGov account, and then setting up. So I dare say this 4 minutes here covers off the documentation that you'll need to have. So it's really important to make sure that people have access to their phone number and their email address if that's what they're using to set those up. And that if you've got a couple who are trying to set up MyGov, they both need to have their own email address or their own phone number. You can't use the same one on multiple people's accounts. So that's where it makes it a little bit challenging when you're dealing with First Nations people and lower socioeconomic groups that are sharing handsets, etc. So there's a whole lot of things to keep in mind if you're helping people who struggle with their digital literacy in the first place for this sort of stuff. So that's got quite a few activities in there, you can see. So down to 7 before we get to the quiz. So, and then there's also one on there about getting help with it if you need help. So, yeah. Okay. And so you might notice that MyGov has changed their branding in the last little while, which is always a bit scary when you're used to seeing an app look one way and then all of a sudden it's another way. So how do you verify that you're in the correct spot? Making sure that you type it in yourself into the browser address bar and it should just be my.gov.au. The EN at the end stands for English, so it knows that I'm browsing in English. And you can see you've got the HTTPS up there as well. So, any questions on that? No. I did want to touch on MyID. So we did a quick chat earlier about who's using ID, and there's only one or two of us that are using the MyID. Some people gave up; it was all too hard. And some people are quite happy to stick with their usernames and passwords. So basically, I did a bit of poking around yesterday because there was an interchangeable term between a digital ID and MyID. So I thought, okay, well, what is the difference between a digital ID and MyID? So basically, the federal government have set up a digital ID system so that organisations, you might know that Australia Post has a digital identification app as well. So you need to pop into a post office and verify your identity in at the post office, so that I know, for example, we signed mortgage papers, etc. last year, and because we lived in a small town, we still do, different small town, but I couldn't drive anywhere within, I'd have to go to somewhere like Darwin back then. That's an 8-hour drive to go into a government office to verify, or to the bank for myself to go and sign those. Excuse me. And our bank now doesn't have any bricks and mortar banks. So how do you make sure that you're dealing with the bank? So the post office steps in, but we had to verify our identity at the post office. So they do have a digital ID as well. Is anyone using the Australia Post digital ID? No, me either. So I haven't used one, but some people might prefer to have, excuse me, I'll just get rid of that. So this is the digital ID for Australia Post, and you can download the application for it on your smartphone. And this is just digitalid.com, and it's an Australia Post branded one. So I would be doing a fair bit of research into that before I click, and making sure that that is correct, etc. Before I did any of that, because you're sharing your 100 points of identification, and so that's right for the picking if somebody sort of jumps into that. So I'd be wary of that. So, but basically, the federal government has set up a digital ID system with the ways to prove your identity, so that your MyID app is then only attached to you, and you are able to verify who you are when we don't deal with people face to face anymore. So that's the overview. If anyone wants the information on that, I can pop that in the chat for you there. And then the MyID, they've also had a rebrand. It was MyGov ID, and now it's MyID. So you can use this to access, if you have an online account to the ATO outside of your MyGov, you can actually use this app and your identity to verify yourself with your tax office account as well, which I'm a bit confused as to why we would have an online account with the ATO when we could just do it through MyGov, because I thought that was the whole point. But I think how MyGov works is you connect all of those online services in one spot, so that you can see which ones you've got access to, and then MyGov verifies who you are and pops out. So I think with MyID you can actually just sign straight into the ATO without going through your MyGov portal.
You don't have to have MyGov to MyGov, because there were ATO logins, digital logins long before MyGov was dreamed up.
Yeah.
Link it, and then you've got all your government things in one spot, which is good.
Yes.
I'm having a look at my ID app on my phone, and it mentions I could use it to log into the taxation office with my director identification number because I'm a director. Relationship authorization manager, whatever that is, Australian Business Register. So I guess there are things that aren't on MyGov where you still need to prove your identity to the tax office.
Yeah, so the relationship authorization manager is if you're working for an organisation and you need to verify that a new employee or somebody is authorised. So, and they can be quite onerous as well. So there are lots of things that you need to do to get all of these things, all of those ducks in a row, I suppose. And so once you've got your MyID ducks in a row, technically that makes everything else a little bit more straightforward for you. So, yeah.
And be prepared to spend a fair amount of time doing it all.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah. So, any questions? Is there anything that you want to know that we can maybe try and work around for you? Are there any sticking points?
Is it true that any password can be hacked?
Yes, eventually. Let me go and get you this Hive Systems password crackable. It just is the amount of time.
Yeah.
Hang on, I wasn't prepared for that. So let me, there it is. So I've got this year's version. Let's do it in English, hey? That would be the most useful. I've got it in all sorts of languages, apparently. Let me just open that up. Right, I'll pop that back up on this screen. So I show this when I'm training digital mentors so that they can, because there are a lot of people still using passwords that are the same. So this is a little table that's put out every year. And you can see in the left-hand column the number of characters, so whether it's 4 characters or 18 characters. And then if you're only using numbers, if you're using 18 numbers in your password and that's all you're using, it's going to take 284,000 years for the existing technology to crack that password. Okay, so the answer is yes, they can all be cracked. It's just a matter of when and how long it will take. And of course, with generative AI, things are moving very rapidly and they're getting smarter and things are moving along a lot quicker. So you can see that the best practice for a password is numbers, uppercase, lowercase, as well as a symbol in there. And you can see that if you have got 7 characters, it's only going to take 2 years with today's technology to crack that password with 7 characters, which is still, if you're going to change your password, but then you don't know if the technology is going to move along a bit quicker than that. So technically you want your passwords in the green. So if you wanted to use just the lowercase letters, 16 to 18 is a good guideline. And for that, my suggestion would be that you would be using a bunch of words or a phrase that you remember. And it's different with every service that you're signing it up for. So for example, you might decide my house at Facebook is, and that would be your password, or my I don't know. So you'd think of a phrase that you could change with every service that you use. And I would actually throw in some numbers and uppercase and lowercase anyway, as a general rule. But the symbol, some protocols have a symbol and some don't. Some have some symbols and not others. So that can be a little bit challenging. But what the principle is that you keep your phrase the same with everything, but change one bit in it so that if they do crack one of them, they haven't got all of them, if that makes sense.
If you don't have any other means to, keep track of them, or I wouldn't do without my hard copy password book. And periodically when I do change the passwords, I can just cross that one out and then I put the new password and the date that I changed it. So I can see which ones need changing every few years. Quite a few, and I'll just butt in here. A few years ago, a technical chap came and gave a talk to Walpole Seniors Computer Clubs, and part of the topics were passwords. And it's always difficult to sort of dream up a password that you're going to be able to remember, and you don't always necessarily want to get to your password book. So he thought, I don't know whether he thought it up, but he advised everyone present to use a cryptic phrase, just like Natika has said, and started off like a small I, a capital L, the @ symbol. So that stands for I live at, and then you put like 16 if you live at 16, capital N if that's you're in North Road, or little r, and then S for Swan Hill or wherever you live, and then the postcode. So like it means something to you. It's not, or it's cryptic to other people, but it's not cryptic to you. And it worked a treat because it ticked every box in regard to passwords and symbols and uppercase, lowercase, numbers, the whole lot. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in because I use that a lot, and I know a lot of people who do.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I think passwords, if you're going to stick with your passwords rather than going to pass keys, etc., the more you can do to keep them secure and safe, the better. So Paul's just made a comment that each time he logs into MyGov, he has to end up paying bills. So he's avoiding logging into MyGov, so, yeah, which is fair enough. I'm a bit the same. So
of course,
yeah.
And I just mentioned where you were talking about the URL to be, mindful that https / and what the actual MyGov address is. That is people should have that indelibly etched in their mind that is the website address for MyGov, because there's an influx of emails coming to say you've got a new message in your MyGov, and you think, holy moly, it's Big Brother again, and you're in debt. And then you click on the link and it takes you to a website that's a replica. But what you need to do is two things. One, put the mouse pointer over the link to ensure where it's going is a proper, legitimate MyGov email, rather than some cryptic thing in downtown Ukraine or Nigeria or wherever. But also, if you a lot of people, older ones particularly, a little bit concerned about the authorities, not concerned, but mindful of, doing the right thing. And if the ATO contacts you, well, yes, you have to answer them. So this link, if you do click it, and I know people who have, and they click the link and it goes to a website which is a replica of the original. And that's where Natika said, have a look at the address bar and make sure that it's not some gobbledygook address that the link has taken you to. It's a legitimate link to a legitimate MyGov website. And then you haven't been had like a fake email trying to get you to log into their system and reveal all to whoever. double sort of check to make sure you're right.
Yeah.
And some people, elderly, they're the ones who are sort of more concerned about these sort of things. Younger people tend to either know or take, but older ones are more cautious, and you know, they're really worried about, and they're the ones who are being targeted. So the people who are too scared to even open an email purporting to be from MyGov because it might be a scam, and they're too scared to open when it could be a legitimate email and they need to log on to MyGov and do some business with the government. So it's a tough sort of state that we're in, really.
I think having these conversations with your club, within your clubs, is super important. It's talking about buying people time. Don't act on those emails, even if there is that sense of urgency created with those emails. It's super important for you to have a safe space for your club members to come and have a chat and say, hey, I got an email the other day. I'm not sure if this is right or not. What are your thoughts? And having that peer-to-peer support is super important, I think, so that you are normalising the conversations around, oh, I got this email, I don't know if it's correct or not, and that way people have got a second opinion, and then also having that protocol that if you do get something and it's created that sense of, oh my goodness, I need to act on this, what steps do you take? Okay, so if I got something that I thought, oh, that's a bit suspicious, I would not click on it. I would go to my MyGov, because I would log in there and it would then tell me I've clicked into that independently of the email or the SMS, and it will tell me if there's anything outstanding in there. And if there's not, then happy days. I know that what I had was a scam. So, but if you're using email providers like Outlook.com or Gmail.com, they're pretty good at scooping. Actually, sometimes they're a bit too good at scooping things into the junk filter. So I've been waiting for emails for things for ages, and every now and then I'm like, oh, that should have arrived, and then I go into the junk and their good old Outlook.com or my Microsoft Exchange has scooped that off into the junk pile. So they are pretty good. So you do need to check your junk folder every now and then if you're waiting for important emails that haven't come, but they're not infallible is what I'm saying. So some things do get through. So Rick has put a comment in the chat about his password things, and I'm not going to share it on here because we are recording and it is going to be put on our YouTube, so I'm not going to give away your password your password protocols, Rick, but if you can see the chat, then it's a great idea to jump into there. And Paul said he's had an issue at times that the MyGov account disappears. And the solution to date from the MyGov support team is to start all over again. So I think what Paul means is that his login just disappears. So you've got to start the process of setting up a MyGov again, which is not ideal because it can be quite time consuming sometimes. So, yeah.
I've recently had to reinstate my Medicare account and have it as a linked service. And it came about in recent times where I haven't for a long time needed to get a rebate from Medicare, but I recently have a need. And at the hospital where I had the test done, they said, would you like us to do an automatic refund application on your behalf, and it'll just land in your bank in a few days? So I said, oh, yes, please, that's fine. And anyway, it didn't, and it didn't, and it didn't. And so I rang to see if they had processed it. Yes, they had. So I had to contact Medicare. So, yes, I had to allocate 2 hours because I went online to try to sort it, but it balked every time, partway through the application form or what I was doing. So I actually had to speak to a real live person. And it turns out that the bank account that we had registered with Medicare when Medicare first started, 1983. We've changed that bank account, and they couldn't pay the refund into the bank account because over the years the bank account had changed. And blow me down, I got it sorted out, proved who I was, and I've got me sorted out. But in the press that very day, there was a large article where Medicare had over $2 million worth of refunds waiting to be given back to Australian residents because their bank account details were incorrect. They tried to make the deposit of the refund and the bank account was incorrect and they couldn't. So the government's sitting on $2 million. So I tell you, go and check your Medicare, because I got nearly $600 back because of all the past ones about provide the refund, and they didn't, but they never wrote a letter and told me. So I had years backlog Medicare refunds. So it's worth
that's good to know.
Resetting it, having a look.
Yeah, there's a session you could run in your clubs. Come along, and who knows what treasure you might find in your MyGov your MyGov account.
Speaking of another session, Natika is aware, but she is a qualified cyber warden now, and there's a series of courses that are free and for businesses, but you know, clubs are businesses as well, and I've done one of them. I haven't done the other two yet, and they're absolutely fantastic, easy to understand, would be ideal for club situations to alert people to scams. And I'm now a cyber warden, and so the motel that I provide digital support to, they leave everything that's questionable to me when I come in one day a week, and I go through all the junk email, not junk, but all the emails to find out if they were legitimate or not, because hospitality gets bombarded by an awful lot of scammy things. And so anyway, it's proved really worthwhile for me to have done it, and I'm sure clubs would also find that too. So tap Natika on the shoulder and see if you can't bring it to your club.
Thanks, Jen. Paul's just had to go, so he said goodbye. So thank you. He has scooted out now. So, and Deborah has popped in idcare.org website. So ID Care is a great website and a great service that's jointly funded by the Australian and New Zealand governments, and it is where you would go if your identity has been compromised and you have had some issues with that. So if somebody gets hold of your 100 points of ID, etc., and goes and sets up a bank account in your name or whatnot, then those are the people. So there are protocols there for you to report those sorts of cyber attacks as well. As with anything to do with digital literacy, we always come back to safety and passwords, because those are the super important parts of anything we do online these days. So Deborah has put the link for idcare.org. There are some great resources in there. They are also offering a free business check. So I don't know whether they'd work for not-for-profits, but they will do a business cyber health check for you. And as Jen mentioned, the Cyber Wardens program is also a federally funded program. I'll pop the link in there as well. There are some free resources available on there. You can either do on demand or you can join at a specific time on a webinar, etc. So that it's about appointing someone in your organisation that is like the first aid officer, but they're the cyber warden, they're the cyber officer, to keep those conversations happening about what's around at the moment and where to go if you feel like you have been compromised, etc. So yeah, thanks, Jen. So yeah, sorry about my cat. She's just decided to join me. So anyone have any other questions or anything further to add about anything to do with cyber safety and MyGov and MyID?
If somebody has 100 points for your ID, does that mean that they are able to access your bank actual accounts?
No, not necessarily, Ralph. I think more is the worry that they have got enough identification to set up accounts in your name and then do what they like. So they could set up a credit card in your name and then go out and rack up a huge bill and so forth. They don't necessarily have access to your information. However, never say never. You just don't know. So the MyID app that we're talking about makes it harder for people to verify that they're you without being you, even with access to that, because the biometric scan at the end of that setup process proves that the person on the other end of the phone is actually the person whose documents they have verified.
Should we be worried about this hack with Qantas, because they've got passports, all of our 100-point information?
So have you been contacted by Qantas to say that you have been compromised?
No.
Okay. So I received an email saying that my information was one of those, but I've been relocating, so I haven't had a full chance to have a look at that. But I believe that they didn't get enough for all of that stuff. So for me, I don't believe they would have my passport information in it. My passport's about to expire anyway, so I'm happy with that. Time for a new one. But yeah, I'd just be a bit weary about it. But if you haven't received an email from Qantas saying that that's happened with your information, I wouldn't be too worried. So yeah. It's the same as Optus and Medibank. They're the same unless you actually got the email from them saying, yes, your data has been compromised. There's very little cause for concern with that. So,
yeah, well,
and with access,
I was just going to say that Qantas is not really the ethical organisation that it used to be. My experience is that you could really be talking with them in sort of any country. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with any of these large corporations. You never know where the staff are these days. There's very few of them that have onshore staff in Australia anymore. So, yeah.
With the bank account, Ralph, I do believe that no access can be gained to anyone's bank account by another person without proper authority being lodged at the branch where the bank account is held, as in power of attorney.
Okay.
I would still be I'd still be concerned though, because I've watched a hacker for good fake her way into getting access to someone's bank information on phone banking, basically by having a recording of a child crying in the background and pretending that they're calling for their husband and they wanted to check some information. And so they're going to all sorts of lengths. I'll see if I can remember where I saw that, and I'll pop that on. I'll share it on our socials or something. But I don't want to scare people. I think, we need to be aware that it's a never say never, but there are things that you can do. So MyID is definitely an app that will help you protect your identity, because if you've got that, then to verify yourself with government organisations, then you would use that and they know that that is you. I'm assuming that all of the departments of transport around the country, if Western Australia does it, I'm pretty sure everyone else does, but I can log into my own account. Thanks, Richter. I can log into my own transport account to manage my driver's licence and my motor vehicle registrations, And with the driver's license, I can actually lock that. Sorry, Miss Muffet has joined us. I can lock my driver's license. So when I'm going to rent a car at an airport and they're doing an ID check, it comes back as not able to be verified. And that's when I have to remember to go in and unlock it. I'm saying, now try it again. So they try it again, and then it is me. And then I come back in and I lock it again. So that makes me feel good that no one else can use my driver's license, because I was an Optus customer at the time of their breach. So that came about. That's why I locked my driver's license. So I didn't have to change my number that I've had since 1989. I didn't want to change my license number because I can remember it off the top of my head. Now,
to lock that access to your driver's license, you use MyID.
No, I sign into my Department of Transport account online here in Western.
Yeah. You have a dot account.
Yeah, that would be like the Services New South Wales account for us, where you can register your driver's license.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I would be pretty sure that if WA's got it, everyone else should have. But yeah, I just look at your local transport, your state transport authority, and see if you've got an online account and how you can do that. So yeah,
it's actually because you can log in and have a look and think, oh, that regio's due soon and things like that. Whereas it might take you by surprise when it rocks up in the mail.
Yeah, we used to have license stickers on our vehicles here in WA, and they don't send those. They haven't sent those out for a long while now. So it used to sit in the bottom of your windscreen, and there'd be a constant reminder that your regio's due in June or July or whenever, and they've removed those a long while back. So the online account shows you when all your regos are due. So and your driver's license.
By having all those details online, if you go to a place like Repco or Auto Cheap or get your car serviced or whatever, you just have to tell them your regio number and all the bits and pieces, and say your exhaust fell off or whatever, they can look up by the regio number to find out what model car you've got and what the part number is for the exhaust and whether they've got it in stock or not and how much it is, and here it is, Mrs. Jones, and it's all done. You don't have to crawl under the car and look for part numbers or try and find the manual that you had 10 years ago that's now somewhere else. And it's just magic. All this, it works for good too. Yes.
I have to say, I'm looking on my Service New South Wales app and I can't see for my driver's license where I can lock it. So maybe West Australia is ahead of us on that.
I couldn't possibly.
That would be interesting. Yeah, so I don't, because we don't have ours attached to our Services WA app yet. Not that I'm aware of anyway. However, it's just we go straight to the Department of Transport. They call themselves the DOT. So we go and log into our DOT online, and that's where we can access that. Is everyone else in New South Wales as well?
I'm in New South Wales, yeah.
Yeah, I think most of them belong to Computer House for Seniors, the Hills.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah, so I can do a bit of poking around for you if you like, Deborah, and see if I can figure that one out. Not that I haven't got one of those accounts, but...
No, look, you've got enough else to do, Natika, I can do that.
Fair enough. Well, folks, that is our time. Does anyone else have anything else that they'd like to discuss or chat about, or anything that we didn't cover?
My apologies if I interrupted things earlier.
Not at all.
My internet was having problems.
Oh, that's no good at all. Do you see that the NBN are offering free upgrades in certain locations to fibre to the premises?
I did see that.
Yes, I've moved from a fibre to the premise property in Kununurra to here in Hopetown where it's fibre to the node, But when I signed up, my provider said, "Did you know you're eligible for free upgrade to fibre to the premises?" I'm like, yay! So yeah, that's in the pipeline. That'll be next month. I should have my fibre to the premises here. So yeah, very exciting. All right, Miss Muffet has just walked behind my computer, so I'm going to go and save my devices from my cat. Thank you all very much for your time today. I hope that we've given you a little bit of extra info and insight into all of these bits and pieces. So if you've got any questions.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Natika, and well done for struggling through all of that with your terrible cold.
No, I've been in denial that I'm not going to get sick, but
yeah, well, you should get your flu injection.
yeah, I think I probably need to now that I'm in cold country, Ralph. It's a little bit fresh down here. It's 14 degrees, but I think it feels like about 10. So
tomorrow is 11.
Oh, great.
I can't wait.
Nice. All right. Well, enjoy your days, folks. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.